friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a super exciting video. I'm back at it again with a secret TBR. So today I'm going to be reading Booktubers' most recommended books, but I'm going to be taking it a step further and I'm going to take those recommendations from YouTube Lives. So if you don't know, the majority of Booktube Lives are reading sprints. Some Booktubers do other type of lives like 1K celebrations or birthday celebrations, but the majority of Booktube, when they go live or when we go live, it's reading sprints. And if you don't know what reading sprints are, well, basically your favorite booktuber will go live on their channel and you guys will basically like read together. So the most common format of reading sprints is kind of like they'll go live, they'll talk to everybody on the chat, you will talk about what book you're going to be reading, and then the booktuber will set up a timer, usually for a half hour, and then you guys will read and then you'll come back after a half hour, talk about how much you've read, and then the conversation just flows. Some booktubers do just strictly reading sprints, others do like quizzes online and reading sprints, others also play Among Us. So basically I made it my mission to join as many reading sprints as I could for like a 2-week period, and all of the people that you're gonna see on this video were people that were just on reading sprints more during those 2 weeks, and the books that I chose for those people they mentioned at least twice during live reading sprints. I hope this is making sense. Like, it makes sense in my head, but it may not when I watch this back. So usually for my secret TBRs, I usually just like talk about all of the books that I'll be reading for the video, but this time around I want to kind of give a section for each person because I'm going to be telling you the book that I chose for them, for the most recommended from the live reading sprints. And as well, I just got the idea to do like an activity that they would like to do during their section of the video. So I just DM'd a couple of them. Hopefully they get back to me. But yeah, let's get started.
Oh my god, could that get copyrighted?
Hopefully not. So the next person that I'm going to be reading a book for this video, what am I saying, is Mare from Mare Reads. I love her, and I'm going to be reading for her. Let me grab the book because I actually have it. The book that she always recommends during live reading sprints is Anxious People by Fredrick Backman. Don't know much about this book. I do know it kind of involves a robbery. I have heard it's very funny but also very, very sad. So I don't know much about it, but at the beginning of this, well, on the inside of this, it says, a poignant, charming novel about a crime that never took place, a would-be bank robber who disappears into thin air, and 8 extremely anxious strangers who find they have more in common than they have ever imagined. So, this is the book that I'll be reading for Mare, and also Mare did get back to me while I was filming this, and she said that some of her favorite activities are to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Superstore and eat Chinese food. So I will be doing that. So you'll see the activity and also my rating for Anxious People during the next clip. Hello friends, so I continue to give my thoughts, and I just finished Anxious People by who? By Fredrick Backman, and this was Mare's favorite. I believe that the last clip that you saw was me watching Superstore and eating Chinese food, and it was actually an incredible night. I had so much fun doing that. But I just finished Anxious People, and I ended up giving this a 2-star. I feel so bad. Like, I just wanted to love all of these books because they're recommended so much by all of these people that I love. But I ended up giving this a 2-star. I already explained what the book's about, but it is like a literary fiction, and I've been loving literary fiction recently. I just feel like this one was more like comedy. I'm also not in the best like headspace to be reading this book right now, so it could honestly be just me and the moment in my life that I'm reading this book. But I just didn't really enjoy it because, like I said, it's literary fiction, and I feel like when I read literary fiction, I want to relate very badly to characters, and I just cannot relate to these characters like at all. It was all very like funny and kind of over the top, but it was very serious at the same time, and I just couldn't relate to the characters. I didn't really care for like the plot that was happening. I didn't like it, and I feel so bad because I really wanted to love it. But yeah, I ended up giving this a 2-star. I'm sorry, Mare, I love you. I really want to read other books that you've loved that are not literary fiction, or maybe just not Fredrick Backman. I don't know, because every time that I see Mare and all the fantasy that she reads a lot of fantasy that I've never heard of, like YA fantasy, and it sounds incredible. So I totally want to do like maybe a whole video where I read fantasy recommendations from Mare. But yeah, I'm really sad that I didn't really like this book as much. It was kind of painful to get through. I just didn't really like the writing, I guess. Like, I just didn't like how funny it was, but how serious at the same time. It was just a bit over the top, you know? But yeah, 2-star for anxious people. So the next person who I got a recommendation from Live Readings Friends is Haley from Haley Hughes, and she's actually the person who she sparked this idea in my brain, because every time that I saw her on Live Readings Friends, she was always talking about this book, and that book is Pretty Girls by Karin Slaughter. I'm actually picking this up for the Chills and Thrills readathon this month, so I'll be reading this for Haley. This book, I believe it's about a young woman and her sister went missing when she was younger, like maybe when she was a kid. I think she went missing or she was murdered, not too sure. But then I guess 10 years later something similar happens in her hometown, and she believes that these two disappearances or murders are connected. I have only heard amazing things about this book. Obviously, like I said, Haley's always talking about it, so I'm super excited to read it. And Haley did get back to me, and she said that some of her favorite things to do are get boba iced chai and do little photo shoots. So I'll be doing that. So you'll see my rating and the activity next. Hello friends, so I just finished Pretty Girls by Karin Slaughter. Also, so sorry if I seem very low energy. I literally finished Pretty Girls by Karin Slaughter and I went to sleep. Like, I was so tired that I fell asleep. I woke up for like 2 seconds, went on Goodreads, gave this my rating, and fell back asleep again. I think it's currently like midnight, so it's a terrible time to take a nap, but yeah. So I just finished this beauty. This was about 600 pages long, and like I said, I just went on Goodreads and gave this a rating. So at the moment I ended up giving this book a 4-star. I do think that my rating will change in the future. It might go up. I do not think that it'll go lower than 4-star. 4-star is like the lowest that I'll give this book because I really enjoyed it, obviously. I was between 4.5 to 4-star. Definitely not a 5-star, but I will talk about that in just a second. I've already explained what this book's about, and yeah, I really enjoyed my time reading it. Every time that I listened to the audiobook, because I listened to it a little bit while I was doing chores or doing my hair and stuff like that, it really felt like I was listening to like Bailey Sarian talk about like a true crime story. And if you don't know who Bailey Sarian is, she's like a makeup artist, and usually on her videos she has these videos called Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Mondays, and she does her makeup and she talks about a true crime story while she does her makeup. They're super entertaining videos, and truly when I was listening to the audiobook, it really felt like I was just listening to like a video like that. So A lot of people have said that this book is very, very disturbing. I do see where people are coming from, but I did think that this book was going to be very much more graphic than it was. There are some content warnings for this, so I would definitely look this up beforehand. I do not think that it ever became super disturbing that I had to put the book down and I could not read it. Like, there were some points that it was graphic enough that I could visualize it, but it wasn't that I had to stop reading or anything like that. It honestly reminded me of a couple of cases that happened in real life, like some true crime stories like I was talking about. A lot of the things that happen in this book, like different things that the evil person in this book does, it reminded me of different cases of true crime from the past. So I think that the reason why this was a bit of a letdown, and not even that much because I really, really loved it. Like, it's kind of disturbing to say that I loved this book, but I think it was because I was really, really expecting like a huge plot twist, and that's not what happened. I was expecting like the silent patient type of like plot twist at the end, like some other novels when like usually at the end is when you find out who did it or something completely like changes, but this book didn't really have that. You kind of knew what was going on. There were a couple of twists throughout the novel, but they weren't huge twists. They were like mini plot twists throughout. And I was really expecting a big one at the end, but that never came. It never happened. I do think that this is the most like descriptive and in-depth like thriller novel that I've ever read. I definitely do see why Haley recommends this book, and I will definitely be taking more recommendations from Haley. She just posted a Ruth Ware video, and I really loved the Turn Up the Key by Ruth Ware, so I'm gonna be checking out that video. But yeah, I definitely will be taking more recommendations from Haley. Sadly, this was not a 5-star for me. I think it was a bit overhyped as well, because I've obviously heard Haley talk about it, but a lot of my other friends have talked to me about this book, and they always say that this is like their favorite thriller of all time and that like nothing compares to it. But I could think of a couple different thriller novels that I enjoyed a bit more than this one. Like, I really loved The Silent Patient, and I think those are themes that like cater more to what I like in a thriller novel. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed this. I actually went to a thrift store the other day and picked up another Karin Slaughter, which was this one. I don't know how to say that, Triptych. But yeah, I saw this by Kirstens Corner and I picked it up because I was really enjoying this one. And I also have, what's it called? The Good Daughter by Kirstens Corner. And like I said, I really enjoyed this, so I will definitely be picking up more Kirstens Corner in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for the recommendation and always talking about this book, Haley. I really, really liked it. Also guys, at this point in time, Haley just posted on her story that she is engaged. Congratulations, Haley, on your engagement. And lastly, you might have seen that I did do my activity for Haley, which was do like a little mini photo shoot. I had added that Haley mentioned to go get iced chai tea, but I was about to go to Starbucks and get it, and then I looked up what it was and I was like,
honey, no, we're not about to do this, because I just knew that I was not gonna like it.
So I just avoided it because I didn't want to spend my money on something that I knew that I wasn't gonna like. I didn't know that that's what iced chai tea was. Like, I don't know what I was expecting it to be. I knew I wasn't gonna like it, so I didn't buy it. I think I ended up getting like a cold brew, like me being the basic bitch that I am, always getting a cold brew. Thank you so much, Haley, for always recommending this book to everyone. I do obviously recommend that you pick this up, but I will see you later. So next up is a good friend of mine, and that is Shawn from Shawn Connolly. So we actually go live on my friend Cammie's channel. Her channel is Borrow Some Books. We usually go live every weekend, and every time that we go live, he always mentions this book, and that is Skulduggery Pleasant by Landy. Don't know much about this book. I do know it's like a middle grade type of book. It's YA. Well, no, not YA. It's a middle grade, and it is a fantasy. And the back says, he is dead. She's still in high school, but together they're going to save the world. I know it's a pretty long series. Shawn's always talking about this book and this series. He has said that it's very popular in Ireland. I think it's more of like a UK book. So yeah, I'm super excited to read it. I've been getting into middle grade a bit more recently, so hopefully I'll like this. And Shawn did get back to me with a activity, and he said that his favorite activity is eating carbonara pasta. So I'll be ordering some pasta and reading this book. It seems like I'm going to be eating and trying a lot of new different foods during this video, so that's exciting. So yeah, you'll see up next the activity and my rating for this book. Hi there, I look so bad. I look insane. I look depressed, and honestly at this point in time, appearances are not deceiving. So I have updates. The first update that I'm gonna give, this is gonna be a whole clip, but I'll be editing it, don't worry about it. So I have an update for Skulduggery Pleasant. So I've decided to DNF this book. I think I read like 150 pages, and I just really was not enjoying this book, and I don't want to force myself to read something that I'm not liking. I feel like it was moving very quickly, but nothing was really explained. I didn't really care. The beginning read like, it's very similar to other things that I've read in the past, or even movies and stuff. Like, I just wasn't enjoying it. So I've decided to DNF it. I've heard that a lot of people that like Percy Jackson like this book, and I personally did not like Percy Jackson that much. So I don't know. I just didn't really like it. I'm sorry. I genuinely feel really bad DNFing this book right now because it's Shawn's favorite, but yeah, I'm not enjoying it. I'm not gonna make myself read it. So that is that. I DNF'd this, and now I'm gonna go to my rating and my thoughts for the next book, but you'll see that later. So the last but not least, my favorite person in the entire world is Kirsten from Kirstens Corner. I'm super excited to read this book. I love all of the lives that Kirsten has ever been a part of because I just love her so much. So every time that Kirsten is on a live, she always recommends this book. This is one of her all-time favorite books, and that is The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. I'm super excited to read this because Kirsten and I have very similar taste in books, so I have a feeling that I'm really gonna love this. Don't know much about it. I do know it's like a historical fiction, that it's set in Alaska, and it's set in 1974, and it's kind of like the background setting is during the Vietnam War, so that is going to be heavy to read. But it's about like a family, I believe, which I'm super excited to read about. It's a pretty long book, but I'm super excited to read this. And Kirsten did get back to me with an activity. She told me that some of her favorite movies to watch are Bohemian Rhapsody, which I also love, so I might rewatch that. And she also loves a documentary on Netflix called Wacko. I have no idea what that documentary is about, but I'm excited to check it out. So yeah, next up you're going to see my rating for this book and also me watching some cool movies, so stay tuned.
It's dark. It's up. Miami romantic. Aren't you, Doc?
I'll think about it.
No. Are you high again? Well done, Columbo. You need to slow down, Fred. Oh, don't be such a bore. I'm here, aren't I? Are you?
I don't care if he's shit-faced. As long as he can sing.
I want to make you go
You mean disco? Why not?
Hi friends! So I just finished The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah, and this was the recommendation from Kirsten from Kirstens Corner. So I'm going to talk about my feelings about this book in just a second, but I did want to say that today I did my activity for Kirsten, which was watching Bohemian Rhapsody. Watched it earlier today. I loved it. I've already seen that movie and it's incredible. And then after finishing the movie, I started reading this once again. I think I was like halfway through when I started reading this today, and I just finished it like a little bit ago, and it's currently like 1 a.m. so yeah. But my final rating for this book is 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm so excited that I really wanted to love this, and I'm gonna talk about it in just a second. But I do want to say that I'm not surprised because Kirsten and I have very similar tastes in books, and I just know now to read anything that Kirsten loves, I'm just going to read it from now on, honestly. So I've already talked about what this book is about, but obviously I'm gonna give a very brief summary once again. So this book follows like a 14-year-old girl, and her name's Landy, and we also follow the lives of her parents. And her dad is kind of messed up because he went to the Vietnam War, and you know, men that went to war back then, when they came back home, they didn't come back the same person. So one day her dad's like, we're gonna go move to Alaska, I'm done with the US at the moment. Like, he was just over it. So he wanted to move to Alaska and be like off the grid, because in the 1970s in Alaska there was no electricity. Like, it wasn't the way that America was in the 1970s. It was like you're completely off the grid, no electricity, no TV, you have to grow your own food. It's like trade. It worked differently in Alaska back then. So they moved to Alaska, and then, you know, they start meeting people. But I went into this thinking that this was going to be like a war type of book, and it was not at all. So I would definitely recommend going into this book not knowing anything about like the plot, because it really caught me by surprise. But all I want to say is that every time that I was reading this book, I was like, oh, I wish this would happen, but this isn't that type of book, it's not gonna happen. And then it happened. Like, this book was everything that I wanted. Like, everything that I wanted it to be, that's what this was. It was incredible. I really like, I love this book so much. The characters are incredible, the relationships, and I also adore books that follow people from like very young age to like their adulthood. And like, I just love really sad books, and this is a sad book, I would say. I do want to say that if you've read The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah and you haven't read Where the Crawdads Sing, or vice versa, this book really reminded me of Where the Crawdads Sing. And it's really funny because the covers look kind of similar, but yeah, it just, when I was reading this, I was like, whoa, this is really reminding me of Crawdads for some reason. So yeah, I love this book so much. Thank you, Kirsten, for recommending this to everybody, because everyone should read this book. So great recommendation, Kirsten. I will continue taking your recommendations from now on. Alright, hello friends. I'm not sure how I'm editing this, so I don't know what was the last book that I rated, but at this point in time, I just gave a rating for Skulduggery. Well, I told y'all that I DNF'd this, and I gave my rating for Anxious People. So I'm completely done. I read 4 books. Didn't really like 2, and kinda loved the other 2. So one of the books that I read for this video is honestly one of my all-time favorite books now, and that was The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. I adored it. It was so good. I actually just bought like an Alaska sweatshirt off of Shein, I think, just because I saw it and it reminded me of The Great Alone. So I was like, I'm gonna buy that. So thank you, Kirsten, for the recommendation. And also Pretty Girls was amazing. It was really good thriller. It is not my favorite thriller, but I really liked it. So it was kind of 50-50 this video, honestly. But that is it. I will obviously continue to write down any recommendations that I get in the future. future from Booktubers lives. Booktubers are always given recommendations during YouTube lives, so I hope that y'all get some recommendations in the future, and if you want to do a video like this, please do. I'd love to see it. But yeah, that is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!